Dude, it's good to have you on.
Thank you for having me, man.
Dude, absolutely. Because like I've been, I think you joined around the time I was about to leave. You said 2017? Mm-hmm. So like
That's probably like your last hire.
Yeah. When in 2017?
July 2017.
So that was like the last half year that I was here. That was the time where I was like, this might be it for me. I'm this close to breaking right now.
Right.
You caught me on the out.
I used to like long for your like I was constantly longing for your approval, because you were the OG in the you're one of the OGs in the studio, and I'd be like, yo, did I do the drums good today? And you would just be like, you were so like on the way out, you were just like, yeah, it was good, man. I used to think you were so you did not like me, bro.
No, I didn't not like you.
But you were, you could tell you were checked out.
I was definitely on my last legs, and actually that's around the time I told Mark, I think I'm on my way out. And I think I stayed August, September. 6 months. Mm. So he already knew that I was on my way out. But so I didn't get to have like enough time around you to understand like
most people.
Where you were
if you were only around for 6 months, then there was
right. It was hard.
Even Mark, like it took till January.
Really?
Right. It took till January that Mark didn't even know who I was because I didn't have a shift yet. I was still I was an on-call intern for like 6 months.
That's why.
Because I had my day job. So the only time people would see me was like after 5, 6 o'clock.
Oh,
and I would be like, yo, I'm helping out. You remember we have podcasts going crazy here all the time.
Yeah.
So I'm helping out Lip Service. I'm going to help out all the Loudspeaker Networks podcasts. Premium Pete was here.
Yes.
Like it was always everything was going on. So like I would leave work. I used to work at Union Square. Yeah. So I would just hop on the 405. Drop right down to here, and then try to just like make a name. Like I'm helping everybody. I got certified real quick.
Really?
Because of Rohan.
Oh no way!
Rohan was my first and I think it's because we were like around the same age. Like we were older interns.
Yeah.
So Rohan was like the first cat who was just like, yeah, can you help me?
He was GA?
He wasn't a GA yet.
Really?
I think he was just an intern, still, but he had sort of already been certified in the rooms and. So the first maybe week or so I was around, Rohan was like, yo, help me, set up for I have a bumpable tomorrow. Help me set up for my session. And I came in Saturday morning. I still have the picture of me, like, he was reamping some guitar. Like, he was trying to, like, learn how to reamp the guitar in dubway, which was useless. I don't know. Anything, like, we were trying to figure out how to do it. Yeah. And so I sat there with him, and it was just like vibes. I connected with Rohan immediately,
really, because
he just knew his shit. He was a musician. Like I definitely like relate with just like the musician guys, the guys that play and they write and shit. They're not just like the technical like audio nerd guys.
Yeah.
So then he just kind of like he put me on. The first thing I always remember saying, he was just like, get certified.
Yeah.
Immediately. So I was certified before I was even a regular intern.
Whoa.
I was on call, but I had certified in dubway and up here.
Damn, while you were on call?
I was still on call.
Holy shit.
And what happened was so when you get certified, they let you do bumpables.
Yeah.
But Mark didn't even know who I was. He was like, who the hell is this guy putting in his bumpables? So he shut the whole shit down for like a month.
Really?
Yeah. He was like, this is getting out of hand. We got to get control of this.
Man, it's like the Wild Wild West.
Yeah. Exactly, bro. So I understood it, man.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So then when I got fired from my job, so then once I got fired from my job, it was like, oh, I can be here full time now. So then
when was that?
That was in December. So I was from July to December.
Damn.
On call. But I got fired on my job in December, and then I was like, oh, I guess I can do this full time.
Oh shit! You're right. Actually, Rohan was an intern. Mm-hmm. Now that I think about it, and it was either him or Vinny that was gonna go up to my job.
I remember that. Yeah.
It was like a friendly little. What's gonna happen? Leonard, no way he wanted.
He did not. He
was
want
like,
that.
nah.
I'm not fucking.
I knew before.
I'm not climbing in them damn ACs. I ain't climbing in no air conditioning.
The funniest shit I've ever seen in my life is when I was up in the vents and I told Leonard, you gotta come up the ladder, bro. I can't reach it. And he's like, no, I'm not coming up.
I'm the same way, bro. I've never been up that ladder in 5 years here. You got me fucked up. I cannot. I'm terrified of that shit. I need to. I'm dropping some weight, so maybe when I drop weight,
But you got certified quick. That's the way to go.
Me and I remember it was me and Kirsten. I was racing Kirsten. I was like, I'm gonna get there. She got there a week before me, but it was motivation. Like me and Carson would ask questions of each other. And we got certified. Vinny, I gotta give Vinny props for that.
Cause he trains you too.
It would be like sessions where we were working here late, and then trains is running, so he let me just fuck around with the board.
Wow.
So and we would experiment.
Oh right, because he was like
one of the top engineers at the time. So he would be doing all the sessions, and then when he was done with the session, I would ask him like, "Yo, can you run me through the room?"
Yeah.
He would just kind of like halfway pass out and like teach me how to do shit, but he would be like kind of on the couch like sleeping, but showing me. And it was easy. By the time it was time to like do practices and like, actual shit, it was easy.
Yeah,
like,
but then when did you get the full-time intern schedule?
I got it not long after that.
Really?
So it may have been like a few weeks after that. Because when I got fired, so now it's open. Yeah. And then I had to wait maybe a few weeks for somebody to fall off the schedule, and then I got
That's
it.
kind of lucky.
Bro, I had a lot of luck that first year. Really? That first like year and a half. Bro.
Really?
Yeah.
Like what?
I had my first session in January. I had like my first label session, I think, in February.
Oh, that's quick.
I fucked up a session really bad. Like right after that.
Really?
I thought I was on. I ain't even gonna tell that story.
Okay.
That was bad.
Okay, let's pass that.
Yeah, people know.
Really?
You ask like Sardi or you ask.
Oh, I wasn't here. But
if you ask Sardi or like Alessandro, they know.
Really?
Just ask them one day.
Okay, I will. But you got a label session a month into it?
Maybe like a month or so into it.
Wow. Like a month into your regular intern shift.
Yeah, they just trusted me. You know what it was? It's like I'm the hip hop dude. I'm older. I guess they trusted me to like be able to navigate even shitty situations. So if like something happens in the session where it's like you can't figure something out.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I can trust him to like maintain some sort of level of composure.
Be the mature
you know what I mean?
one.
Be mature. Like even if he can't figure it out, it's like, well, at least he'll be able to guide the client in a way that it's not gonna make everybody look bad. So
right.
I guess that helped. And then so I was pretty. I don't know. I just think showing sort of Mark and Scotty that like I was competent and I knew like I don't know, just how to maintain. Like you work for retail one day and you come here and it's the same sort of thing. It's like make sure shit looks clean, make sure people are walking in the door know where they're going. Yeah. Make sure nobody's just sitting on the couch that you don't know who they are, and like ask them if they need tea, cup or water. A cup of tea or water or some shit, and I would do shit like that. So.
Yeah, Mark would always say that. It's very like hotel service vibe, right?
Yeah, immediately. And he said that one time, and I was like, say less.
Yeah. So you connected with that.
I connected immediately with that.
Wow.
So part of also being lucky with it is I used to come from work. Remember, I used to come from work, so I would be
suited up.
Oh
my god!
So I would literally be walking through the studio, and people thought I ran the shit. People would like, ask me like real high level questions, and I'll be like, I'm just an intern. I can get you an answer maybe in the morning, but right now, there's no. But
I remember
people used to like think that I worked like I was like a manager.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Dude. I don't know. That shit was fire, man.
So like Rohan, Shailene, Vinny, these are the people who kind of showed you the ropes around.
Rohan, here. Vinny, Preem.
Oh, nice.
Sardi probably changed my life more than
really,
bro. Like as far as like learning engineering, like learning how to track shit. I remember one day Sardi was running a session, with two interns downstairs bullshitting, trying to wait to do a run.
Yeah.
Sardi comes downstairs and he just opens his laptop up. He's like, I'm gonna show you some shortcuts. And showed us AS, showed us the little cursor, showed us tab to transient, and he said, go home and practice that tonight.
Really?
And I was like, damn, okay.
Oh, I had no idea. Like I didn't.
So that's still like I always to this day make sure that I teach interns that, because that day was so sort of like transformative to me. Like, you gotta like know this keyboard like really well.
I didn't see him as the guy who would just randomly do that.
He just one day, I think maybe he was babysitting a session one day, so he might have just came downstairs, had some time to hang out, opened up a laptop, and we were just like, we're gonna trade some shortcuts today.
Damn.
So he was just showing me. I think it was Owen. I believe it was Owen. You remember Owen? White kid with glasses. He might have been a little after you.
Maybe.
But
he was an intern here?
He was an intern here. You might have hired him. But he was a little after you.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people. That's crazy. Yeah, Danny, actually, he just called me the other day saying like he might want to do some teaching. Bro, he knows a lot. He would be great for.
I would love bro.
Doing a workshop here.
I would love that, fam.
Yeah.
Danny, like, I owe so much. I don't know what it is, especially because I connect with Danny so much. Like, we speak sort of the same language. He, I used his template was my first template.
No way.
So we would just steal each other. I would just, Danny's template is left up on Double's computer. Yeah. I'm taking that shit. It's mine now. And it taught me like everything I needed to know about what a tracking rough sounds like when you're tracking a vocal, what it should sound like.
Yeah.
Right. And that was like my first template.
Really?
It taught me like I'm looking at the fucking the CLA 76 in this shit and how much is compressed. Like it was jarring to me.
Yeah.
How I tracked just some regular roundaway chick and then it came out sounding like a record like immediately, bro. It was jarring to me. I'm like looking at the chain. I'm like, how? But that was invaluable to me. Yeah. Now I know where the cuts are. Oh, he cut like 4 dB at 500 and then another 4 dB at 500 at the fucking EQ before. Oh, we just going cutting 500 all the way through the. There's no 500 in this fucking shit. We taking that out. But and then we're gonna compress the shit about it to bring some of it back in at the end of the chain. But I just remember looking at like that. Danny, that shit. Well, I don't know which one. Is this one?
They're both.
That shit was invaluable to me, bro. Damn. Like my first good record I ever recorded. Like I've recorded a lot of shit before that, where it was like. You just in a shitty environment. You don't know what you're doing. You're trying to figure out
what, like home,
at home, or at like project studios around the city, or just trying to figure it out. That was the first time
really
I learned what a record is supposed to sound like.
Damn, that's a big
it's a
statement.
big deal, bro.
Yeah.
And it's a huge deal. Like, oh, this is what. Oh, these are now. my ears will never not be able to hear this anymore.
Did you go to school for this?
I went to a liberal arts college, and I took a audio minor.
Okay.
Which was only like 4 classes.
Okay.
So most of it, I did a little bit of it, right? But it wasn't this.
Yeah, for sure.
It wasn't like going to SAE or going to IAR.
But even those schools, like what you said about like sitting in front of somebody's template who's doing this stuff, it's like there's no better teacher. It's like somebody who's doing it in the field right now.
Mm-hmm. But he wasn't even there. I stole it.
Crazy.
I stole it from him. I took it from you, bro. I'm sorry, man.
But that's what we all do. We
had to.
We all do that. We all take each other's templates.
Bro, I still like. There's like those aha moments in the space where you're learning shit. Like I'm sure when you're learning how to fucking get a drum sound.
Yeah.
Oh, this is. Finally, I figured it out.
Right. That was
my
moment?
first time. Was like. Oh, now so it wasn't like me figuring. I hadn't figured out how to get to that sound.
Yeah.
But. Figuring out what the sound was, right? Because hearing it in a master,
right?
You can't. It's been through so much processing. Like I can't hear.
Yeah.
I know what a record sounds like because I've been listening to it since I was a baby, right?
Right.
But hearing it straight from the microphone, from the vocal booth to the monitors, and it immediately sounds like a record. Where usually it took me hours to get to 40% of that.
Yeah.
Before that day.
Yeah.
So I was like, it was just invaluable.
I see that too with a lot of students when they like finally get to the SAE studios, and it's like they just put up a mic and put it through a preamp EQ compressor, and it's like they're like, oh shit, this sounds like a record.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah.
I said that to my clients. Like, there's people who, potential clients especially, that when you're trying to like convince them. Like, I don't need you to come to this studio every time you need to make a record. Right? You can go to the 25,000, you can go to the Bushwick studio, you can go to you should do shit. You can go to Pirate. You should. Like, making music is really expensive. Yeah. But one time you should spend the bread to tune this. Once you tune this part, you can't go back. Yeah. You just don't, bro. So now you know that, I can go to Pirate Studios and then tune my Logic EQ to get to 95 to 100% sometimes of that sound.
Yeah.
Right? But you gotta do it once just to like.
Right.
I don't think I would be as. I don't think I would know what that sound was if it wasn't for working here.
Damn.
I wouldn't. I don't know. Like the fact that I can take one of the little student mics that we get, and I can run it through the 1073 and the CL1B, and it's like, oh, this is still a record.
Damn.
And it's a little $100 mic.
It's crazy. Everybody I talk to, like who's been on this podcast, most of them came through this place. It's like this place was the breeding ground.
It is
for everything.
It's like it just wakes you up.
Oh my god!
It woke you up. Now then, there's obviously like the other shitty side of it.
But that's anywhere you go, right? Anywhere you go is gonna have like a shitty side to it.
Nah.
Oh well, at least from what I've experienced.
In the music industry, yeah.
I think in any industry is gonna have some shitty side.
I don't know. In Hollywood, is it like that in Hollywood?
Stop.
You tell me.
Stop. I'm not.
G is Hollywood, bro.
No.
G came to the studio the other day and was like, bruh, I used to work in music full time. Now I work at Hollywood 90% of the time.
Now don't look at me in the eye.
And then I just work on music that I actually like.
No, dude, but you were talking right before this, and I wanted to ask you. It's like you said you were starting to get to a point where you weren't really feeling this anymore.
I stopped loving it.
What was up with that? Like, what happened? Like, because you interned, you started getting these label sessions, you started getting really good at it.
So I had a baby, I had a kid, and the music industry is very draining. Especially if you want to do it at a certain level, it is really draining on your family. Like, it's just there's no ways about it.
Interesting.
There's times where just availability becomes a big conversation all the time. Whether it's you're going to be available for your family, you're going to be available for your career. And there's no like mechanism built into the music industry like it is when you work in technology or you work on Wall Street, where it's like you go there at 9, you leave at 5, you go daycares. There's a reason why after school programs end at 6.
Yeah.
Because the majority of companies close at 5, so now I get to go pick up my son. And it became taxing because there would be days where I would have like, you would think these sessions that I was in were like they made me feel so good. They would be transformative sessions, and then you would go home and you would see how draining it was on my wife that I was gone for 4 days straight. Like she didn't even see me for 4 days. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, it like when the money is good, you're like it's easy to make those conversations, but when the money's not, then you're like, well, fam, you're not even
what's
around.
The justification?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. So
when did you have the kid?
I had it actually before. I had the kid. He's I had him in 2013, so he's 8 years old. But
when you started here,
when I started here, he was already 4. And
those are like prime.
It was bro, years. And I tried to make it. There's the balance that you're like constantly trying to.
I never thought about that because I didn't have anybody else. No responsibility.
It's difficult, man.
Yeah.
Especially even just with a significant other. I can't imagine. I imagine how taxing it is on your significant other. And my wife, she's incredible with it. Like she is super supportive. She like, I couldn't ask for a better partner in like to do this. But I see it. Like I can tell. Like I know how difficult it is. You know what I mean? Because I know it would be difficult if it was if the shoe was on the other foot. You know what I'm saying? Like. You know, I want to be with my wife. I want to lay down in bed with my wife at 3 a.m. in the morning, but sometimes I'm not done. I'm not even done working here. I'm here till 7 a.m. Last week, bro, I was here. You remember? I was here fucking. I think I went home. I was here. Oh no, I went home literally just to drop my son off at school.
Wow.
So I would leave here, drop my son off at school, take a nap, go to the gym, come right back here, right? And then it's the same thing. I didn't see my family for like a whole week, and that's nothing. Yeah. You know, you get to a certain level, and there's like you might be on the, you know, if Solange calls you tomorrow, and it's time for her to record her album,
right?
Well, you're gonna go fly to Tanzania wherever she's recording the shit, and you're gonna be gone for 3 months. So
what aspects of it then was you didn't like? The fact that it was taking you away from family, or the fact, or maybe
that's
it's both,
one big one,
or the fact that whatever you were going to, it wasn't either financially or credit-wise justified.
I mean, it's a combination.
Because you're still
the financial one is not as big of a. Because, there's ebbs and flows in that. Like, there'll be
Right.
some days where you're broke, and then some days you're like, you can't believe people are paying you this much money to make music.
Yeah.
It was more so like, so financial. I said financially, but it's really more so like those like transformative sessions where you're like sitting in the room and you're like, wow, I can't believe I'm here. They come far and few in between when you're working every day.
Yeah.
Right? Every day, I'm 35 years old. Like I've been in these rooms with like, you know what they was doing in the streets the night before.
Right.
And I'm 35 and I'm like, bro, I can't.
Yeah.
I could do this every once in a while, but like, you can't keep calling me for this. I'm 35. I got a family, bro.
Yeah.
So you would do those sessions, and then like, such a big part of the work became that, and I don't know. It's just it didn't speak to me as much, right? And then it's also you're not as in control of that work, where it's like I hadn't built my business yet, right? So that was like back in the time where it's like I'm still heavily relying on the studio getting me work, heavily relying on invoicing the studio.
Right.
I hadn't developed my own client base where it's like I know that. Like, I actually appreciate the people that I'm working with. I love hearing them when they call me. Like, I ain't gotten to that point yet. So it was really just like, you're going to call me, and I have to be concerned that this may be a shit show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That'll definitely take the love out of it.
It took a lot of love out of it. And I got it back. I feel like over the pandemic, which is ironic, a lot of the love came back.
Really?
Yeah.
So you're saying that like it was right before the pandemic that you were starting to
right before the pandemic, I knew I had to change something.
Okay. Really? Like
so I started
2019.
Right before I had made a resolution where like we're gonna work in a different sort of capacity. So we're gonna go. And I used to call it like we're doing this for the love now.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh shit.
So I would make sure every Saturday I book some time at the studio. Like I'm a senior engineer here. Like let's use the room. So I would book somebody I met out at a show. I'm like, yo, come to the studio, let's make a record.
Yeah.
And I would do that every Saturday.
Really?
For like 3 or 4 months. And the love started coming back, bro. Like I still got voice notes of me just playing piano with cats that I just met at No Blue. You know what I'm saying? Or like and that shit just started coming back. And so then when the pandemic hit, there was a little bit of like, oh fuck, man, I'm just getting this love back.
Yeah.
But I had done enough legwork where it made a dent enough so that those people called me for work.
Yeah.
So they would come, it would take time to record an album. They would call me for that album. When it just worked. So that's still part of my business model where it's like, let's go out in the street, let's go to a show, let's go to a club, let's go meet somebody, and let's make a record for free. Like let's make one. Like come by. I got free time on Saturday. Right. Let's make a record. It's on me. Yeah. We'll collab on it, whatever.
Yeah.
And then in my mind, it's like I guarantee that once it comes time for the album, or once you get the budget to make the album,
they're coming to you.
I'll be the first person you think of.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the hope.
No, that's usually how it goes, right? It's like. And I think it speaks to like how you can get way too caught up in the studio game, and I think it's good to get caught up for a while, because like you said, like you wouldn't have learned the skills, you wouldn't have learned the plugins, you wouldn't have learned the rooms, you wouldn't have experienced that record feel.
Yeah.
But you're right. After a certain point, and maybe it is an age thing, I don't know, or maybe it's just a burnout thing. But at some point, it's like you can't be up here every.
I mean, it's like what we were talking about before the thing. It was like we talk about cute miking techniques, and then you get to a point where you learn enough where you're just like, oh, I should just put the microphone in front of the thing, and then that's how I get the sound. Like you just stop thinking. So it's the novel. The novel aspect is worn off already. Like so, there's still certain things that are novel that come up every once in a while, but the vast majority of the novelty of the art form. Is you mic enough drum sets, you know how to mic a drum set now.
Right?
For
sure.
And you got that part. At least you got that.
Yeah.
Now you can always get the drum sound better.
Yeah.
Or you can hear a record that kind of completely abolishes the way you think about micing a drum set. But for 90% of the time, like when you come to the studio, there's not this like discovery about micing a drum set anymore. You know how to do it. You're gonna do it.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's more so like, let's get. And you said this at that seminar we were there. It's just like, let's just like I miss like getting in the studio and just making music with people.
Yeah.
right? I don't want to just be the engineer sitting here and
babysitter.
I'm not a babysitter. I'm a musician actually, so I want to make music with people.
And that's your next step, right? To try to figure out how to get to that.
I think I'm pretty close there. Like last week was one of those weeks where it's, a label called Scotty. Scotty asked me to take care of it, and luckily it was a client that was like, they were incredibly like collaborative. They were like, asking for input. One of the producers was like, do you play keys? Can you put some keys down on the beat? Like those sessions come far and few in between.
Yeah.
A lot of times when you're just the engineer that got to sit at the keyboard.
Right.
I just want to get, like, it's funny, like my whole mindset now is getting back to shit that I love doing, and Scotty called me where most times I'd be like, I gotta do fucking drill records all night. Nah, it was like, it was a collaborative environment that I hope that we can curate more of those type of rooms.
Yeah. And I think that'll bring your love back for it even stronger. Right?
So we working on, it's like a constant process, bro. I think like loving making records it's like a love-hate sometimes. Like I love making music. I make music every day. I sit at my piano, I practice every day.
Nice.
But making records is like, sometimes it's a process. It's a process.
Yeah.
And you gotta love all the people, and that's a part of the process sometimes.
Yeah, and then getting to that point where like everything you do is what you love. That's kind of the goal, right? There's gonna be challenges.
What about you? But you had burnout.
I had burnout.
So what was the reason for your burnout?
Well, I had two big burnouts, I think. One was right at the tail of being operations manager, where it was like, oh my God, like, I'm about to lose my mind.
Right.
And then I just happened to get this opportunity back in India to where it's like, hey, we want to build a studio in this music conservatory and a audio engineering program for students, and we want you to design it all and everything.
Fine.
And it was like, perfect. It's like, you know what? I'm already feeling burnt out over here. There's an opportunity over there. Let me go. And I had good friends. Like, I sold a bunch of my shit, sold my amps.
Had you built a studio before?
No, but I figured you
know wires,
The amount of stuff you learn, especially as operations manager, because who do you call when you need shit fixed or replaced, right? So I learned a lot of stuff just being around here. And I knew I could do it, but I knew I had to get out as well. So anyway, that was the time where I was like, you know what? It's time to leave. That was my big burnout. And then when I went back home, I was staying with my parents, right? I was going to this... I think, dude, when I tell you, like, there was a lot of prep work before I got there. Like, I got there in January of 2018. It's a couple of prep work, like, ordering microphones. There's a bunch of stuff from here that I wanted to take over there. Selling my amps, selling, like, a bunch of... Like, my bed, all that... sold my IKEA desk, sold all that shit. Moved into Rohan's couch, and, like... And when I got there, when I told you, like, it was so much more relaxing. I wasn't used to that kind of pace for a while. Like, I think I worked Monday to Fridays, 12 to 4. That's it. And then I just stayed
sort of recharge
for 3 months. Nothing else. Like, and I needed that. Like, it was, and that was, I think that was partially my personality, right? It's like, I don't think I was very good at speaking up when I was overstressed or overworked. All I knew was, like, I had to be here. I had to put in the work and fucking shut up and put up with it. That was my attitude. Maybe it was the right thing, maybe it was not. But anyway, that was my first like break, my burning point, and then I took like 3 months off. And then I came back and I was just teaching and doing some freelance work. And then I realized maybe this is where you're at now. It's like I do want to only work on stuff that I really love. But I think we talked about this on the day. It's like albums come every couple of years. So what am I going to do?
Right. You have like 5 clients that you love.
Yeah.
And you hope they call you, but then you better hope they stretch that shit out, because if they all called you in 1 year, you're not making another album you like.
Exactly.
For the next 5, man.
I realized that because I think I worked on an EP or something, and then EP was done, released everything. I'm like, yeah. Okay, what next? It's like, shit, they're probably gonna, tour this, and they're probably gonna play it.
And then they gotta get budget back. Like, it's expensive to make it out. Yeah,
exactly. And they're probably gonna come back with another EP. But like, what am I gonna do until then? All right, I can find more clients, but like you said, the good ones that you really connect with are far and few between. So that's when I started to get into like these audiobooks and post production. Right. And I'm telling you, dude, that's where you can make some sort of consistent pay.
You open, bro. I was like,
bro,
It was the epiphany moment when you told me that. I'm like, damn, maybe I should just.
I can't remember. I think it might have been Michael Bader who I talked to because he was at an audiobook company, and he was like, "Why don't you come do some freelance work over here?" And then I realized, like, one, if you've been trained in these rooms, that shit is way easy, bro.
Really?
What? Really? What? Like, the shit that we've handled over here is like, that's nothing.
Yeah, it's just people, like, nice people that were reading, nice people reading books. Can you imagine? What the fuck?
No bullshit.
Oh, shit.
No alcohol, no weed, no craze, no madness, nothing.
No Uber rating going down because you get in the Uber and you smell like weed. And you didn't even smoke, but my Uber rating, it was in the tanks for like years, bro. I'm like, that's not fair. It's not my weed. I just sat down in the... God, there was no reason why my Uber rating is so bad. I'm super kind. Bro, I asks to open the window. I go, bro, because it's not my car. Yeah. Like, you mind if I crack the window? How I got a 4.6?
Oh my god.
What the fuck? Is that racist? Wait, what is that?
Oh, because you're black, they're like, oh, this dude's probably smoking.
Yeah. No, he was cool, but he smelled like weed, bro. He got my Camry smelling like weed. It's fucked up. It's not my fault, bro.
Dude, I'm telling you, I didn't know that there was a whole other corporate world going on, this post-production thing. And then I started realizing, like, oh, wait, there's a lot of people doing this, and I know why now. Right. Because it's, like you said...
I've been telling people around here about it, too. I told Ronnie about that. I'm like, yo, Ronnie, maybe you should... Because he's been saying the same thing. You met Rodney downstairs.
Oh, yeah,
the Sardi's kid.
Yeah.
I was like... We had literally had this conversation maybe, like, 6 months ago, where he's like, yo, Greg, I'm getting to the point where these sessions is getting taxing, bro. And I'm like... Maybe we should, think about, like, getting, a job in the morning where you're doing the same things we do here, but then now you still have access to the studio. And, yeah, you should still probably take a call every once in a while when they need you. Yeah. But it's going to leave... First of all, what that does is it clears out the space for more up-and-coming engineers, obviously, to get a seat here. Right? They need to learn. It's like... We got thrown in the fire. Like, it'd be said... I think it was a True Life session was my first one I thought I was gonna get, and I was terrified. Yeah, because True Life had just come out of jail, and I was like, "Oh, my first session is gonna be a True Life session? Like, word?" I was questioning, yo, bro. When I tell you I was questioning every decision, I had a nice job, bro. I had a good paying job with 401k. Yeah. And then I got fired from it, probably from working here, and then smelling like weed. My first opportunity is working with True Life. Yeah. So, well, yeah, the getting back to the love thing, bro, is, I think, you know what it is? Like, we see the top, like, we talk about the top 1% of engineers. It feels like all they do is they work on, like, Grammy Award-winning records, or, like, they get to work with Kate Renata any single time his album needs to be mixed. It's like, oh, they don't even track anymore. Yeah, they just mix records all day on big SSL consoles all day. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It would be ideal it would be dope if I could get to that point. I don't know if that world even still...
I don't know either.
That world still feels like it's on the way out, where it's like, this cannot be...
I don't think so.
It has to be a part of your portfolio, but it cannot be...
I don't think it's a full-time thing. Yeah. Like, all like the people who are like A-level, I think, again, I don't know, but I think, like, the Chris Lord-Alges and all those people, like, they do that shit, but then they have plugins that they get paid from. They do teaching seminars.
We were just talking about this downstairs.
You know what I mean? It's like, I think, like you said, that world is not really a stable one. So, like, having other sources of income is, like, always going to be a thing, I think.
In fairness, they've been telling us that, though. No one ever really told us that.
Oh, that's true.
They've said this since the day most of our mentors, from the minute we said, this is what we want to do. Yeah. For a living, they said, it's going to be difficult. You're probably going to need multiple streams of revenue. Do not think you're just going to be tracking people for $25 an hour all night. Right. Unless you're not going to sleep. Unless you're going to be tracking every minute of every day.
Right. And there's a time limit, right? You're not going to work every hour, like you said. Yeah, I think there has to be. So, like, having that post-production thing opened my eyes, at least, to be like, oh, there's a whole other thing where, like, everything that I learned in this studio, there's this bunch of people here that have money, they're okay paying money to get it right.
And it keeps you away from working with, like, people that you don't like? Like clients.
Yeah.
Like music that you
but I think that's going to be the case anywhere for the most part. Anywhere there's going to be clients that you
but
like,
as far as
that you like have to deal with, right?
As far as music is concerned, though, right? Like,
oh yeah,
that's where part of like if there's one thing I don't ever want to lose the love of is music.
Yeah.
But you start losing the love of music when
you work with those kinds of clients.
Bro.
I feel
and
you.
It's like it's not. They could be good people. It don't even have to be like terrible people. It could just be like, how did you think this? Why do you think this record is good, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like you be like thinking like,
oh my god, you know what I was talking to my students about this other day. There's a couple of records out there that have my name on it that are just my god.
Bro, I don't even know if we should talk about this. Oh Lord.
It's like straight garbage fire.
I'm trying to get better with the political shit. But goddamn, bro.
Yeah.
I've actually had conversations with clients who were like,
really?
Can I put my name on this?
Really?
But it's more so it was like a fight between it was like more of a creative sort of.
Oh, I see.
Where it was like we kind of cut corners on things I knew we shouldn't have.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it wasn't.
That's crazy.
It wasn't like we weren't contentious about it, but it was more so just like. Yeah. I remember I had to call someone. I'm like, yo, just do me a favor, take me my mixing credit off of this.
Yeah.
I did not mix this.
Yeah.
This doesn't sound good. So
this isn't your mix.
Yeah,
really.
I cannot be associated with the mix of this song.
Yeah.
If you want to associate me with the producer, fine. Right. Like the composition, fine. But
right.
As a mix and master, I cannot be associated with
right. But what you're saying is that like for music, you keep music a little bit more sacred and kind of on its own. And
right. Which
you'll have, you're going to have shitty people no matter where you are in life, but like keeping music as pure as possible.
So actually, let me ask you that. Do you think that, so I get the sense that that's a mistake though.
What?
The idea of keeping music sacred. As far as being successful in the business.
So? Oh, okay, that's a good question. Yeah,
right.
Keep going.
Because, and I always wonder because since you kind of had early success, or not, I don't want to call it success, but you
call it success.
But you caught the accolades early, right?
Kinda
the idea that you have platinum plaques in your house,
yes,
you don't even give a fuck about it, but that's a big deal. Like, you know how many people would. Man, there's so many people who that's what they're striving for, right? Yeah. They're working right now for that.
I'm pretty ungrateful. I know. I've noticed. I'm
not even saying it's ungrateful,
but I've noticed that about myself. Like,
but I wonder if that's why you have the ability to kind of keep it sacred.
Disconnect.
Now. Because now you've already done that part. That's part of the game. Whereas me,
in
order for me to get to that, I kind of have to dissociate myself, my love of music, from the sort of like. The machine of making the music.
That's a good question. So, I will say that, like, very grateful for those plaques and everything. The reason why I think I really worked hard at getting to that point, and I was very lucky. Again, very lucky. I'm not a citizen of this country, so I had to be on what's called an artist visa.
Right.
Basically, what you do with an artist visa is, like, you go to the government and you say, hey, I should be here for an audio engineer. And they say, why? Right. And you got to give them really good reasons, and it's a particular visa that your credits have to be like really strong. So that helped me stay in the country, and I'm forever grateful for that.
That's fire.
Right?
Okay.
But like for me, like I don't know. I guess I never thought about that because Rohan used to tell me this as well. It's like, bro, you already got your plaques. It's like
so you don't have to hunt. You're not.
Yeah,
there's not a hunting thing.
Exactly. You're not chasing anything, and I think that's. Again, that's a blessing that maybe I'm not able to appreciate because it came to me early, and it came to me kind of fell in my lap. Right. Really, I was an intern for 3 months. I happened to make friends with the mastering assistant. He showed me a bunch of stuff. I was cleaning the rooms. I was cleaning the steps. Somebody saw it on the camera. They were like, "This dude's good. Let's recommend him." It's like it's total luck. Like, okay, whatever, it happened. Yeah. Maybe I can't disassociate with myself, but But even having those plaques, I don't know if I'm successful in the music industry or anything.
More so just like, there's things that you don't... Like, I have to check certain things off my list, right? I gotta get the nod. I gotta get the Grammy nod. I gotta get the RIA certification.
I don't think I ever had any of that. I don't want that.
But my point is that it may be because you've already... You checked one high thing off the list really early.
I don't think it is. I think when I told this to... Oh, I told this to you guys at the workshop. It's like, dude, music is like a very sacred thing to me.
Right.
And so like, how do I say this? I want to keep it as pure and awesome as possible because it really changed my life. Right? But at the same time, I know that there were things that I had to do for visa stuff, for competition, for making money, for business and all that stuff. But what I realized was, like, the more I started to dive into these kinds of aspects of, like, oh, I got to do it for my visa. Oh, I got to do it for making a bigger business. Oh, I got to do it for... The more I went into that, the more I couldn't focus on keeping it, like, pure and artistic. And then I start to lose... And then now it's becoming, like, something that I don't even... It was becoming something that I didn't even enjoy. And like you said, if you lose that, that's kind of the basis of a lot.
So it's funny. I feel like that's such, like, where that's almost diametrically different from how I feel like the only way I will achieve any sort of major success here is to sort of, like, demystify it a little bit.
Demystify what?
Like, there's you ever seen the famous Rob, what's the guy's name? He's a Michael Jackson songwriter. I think it's like Rob Stapleton. Mm-hmm. I always, he wrote, like, what did he fucking write? He wrote the PYT or Off the Wall. He wrote the Off the Wall record. He has this, like, famous speech at like a songwriters award show, and he's just like, and one thing that always jumped out at me when he was like, "There's the 10 Commandments of songwriting," and it was like, first of all, he says, like, obviously save half of your money because half of it is not yours; it goes to taxes, and then one of them was, don't be too precious about your craft. We are making music for the heart, but we are not curing cancer. Right? And I don't know why that spoke to me so much, because I feel like that had always been sort of a brick wall for me, where it's like I'll make a beat and somebody that I don't think is worthy to be on the beat, I won't even play this shit for him. And that person could have done changed my life.
Sure.
Because he could have put the stupidest thing on it that turned into a TikTok craze that now changed my life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I could always make another beat.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
So we definitely, I see what you're saying now. It is definitely the 180 to me. Right. Because I think, and again, this might be because of there are certain things you want to check off, is that what you're putting at the top is like, I got to get the nod.
Right.
From the industry or from somebody or from an artist. And for me, that's not it. And I don't think it's ever been that. I think there was a point in time where I did want that. Because, you know, like, who doesn't want to get the nod from somebody?
Right.
But I think after chasing that long enough, like, I think this actually happened when I was in India and just had time to reflect on all this stuff. What I realized was the happiest moments were when I was with, like, Rohan and Shay, and we were just making music right here. And I'm like, you know what? That's what's got to be at the top.
Right.
And if the nods come along the way, cool. If the plaques come along the way, cool. But I know the happiest I've ever been, the most fulfilled I've ever felt was... Actually, I can even tell you the actual session.
I got one too. Right
Yeah.
after that, I got one.
Dude, like, this is perfect because, like, yes, like, whatever, plaques, yes, great sessions, great label sessions, blah, blah, blah. But, like, it was me, Rohan, Shailene, and my friend Trevor, and we did a cover of this song by a band called Periphery. That whole process, especially when we were filming the video in here, me and Rohan were standing over here, Vinny's over here, they're both drunk as shit, like,
oh yeah,
bro. And it even, like, before it even came out, before we released it, before anything, when we hit that final master,
yeah, I remember y'all working on that record,
dude.
Y'all worked, like, y'all put your, I remember seeing you, dude. You guys put your, like, souls into that. Was it just one song?
It was just one cover song. Yeah. I mean, we've done a bunch of shit.
But I remember it was like December of 2007.
I can't remember when we did it.
It was like right when you were on your
maybe it was that. Maybe it was that. But all I know was, like, it hadn't been released. Nobody outside of the four of us had heard it. Nobody was saying, "Oh, good shit." Nobody had given me there's no validation outside the four of us. But I remember when we got that final master and everybody approved it. That was the best moment I've ever felt. And we got the final video edit. And it's like, that moment was the most fulfilling moment. And I didn't care what happened after it went out. To the point where Rohan and I even put out a snippet. And Shailene's like, hey, I was gonna cut it up and make it. Now why'd you just put it out there?
That shit was dope shit.
It's like, and I realized that's what I want.
Right.
Not whatever the validation comes afterwards. Not the credit. Not the number of views or not the plaques. It doesn't matter. It's like the process. That's what I want.
Right.
Of creating something truly as artistic and pure as possible. That's like a genuine representation of what you want to say. And that's when I think maybe that's when I realized that that's who I am as a person. So I could talk to myself all I want about chasing the whatever, but I don't think that's who I am at my intrinsic level.
Right.
I just don't think I'm that guy. And even now when I make these little videos like on YouTube and stuff like that, I do it for fun. I know for a fact that it's not if I start chasing I want the views, I want the influencer validation, I know I'm going to start losing my passion for what I want to do, and I know it's just going to be just more stress and unfulfillment. So yeah, I realized that a couple of years ago. Damn, so now I try to.
You shitting on my whole philosophy.
But that's just my philosophy.
No. I get that. There's
you make a great point.
I think there definitely has to be a balance of, at least for me.
Yeah.
I have to instill a lot of that back in, and when we talk about the love of it,
I see.
That there has to be pockets of what I do, even if it's on a weekly basis or once a month. Where you're right, that is a part of my process, a part of my like.
And you know what? This is so interesting because like, it could be different for different personalities. Right. Some people are like, yeah, music is cool, but I want to get to the top.
But I think I actually think more like you. Like I love music to that level where it's like, it's the most important thing in the universe. Somebody
actually, funny enough, the band that we were covering, right? They're actually a pretty successful band on the underground metal scene. They're called Periphery, and their main founder Misha had this statement. Like he's known for being like a really big influencer in this genre, and he's also known for being like a really good businessman and stuff like that. And he said this line how like, they really lucked out. They got a great fan base and it kind of really worked out for them. What he was saying was like, look, I've seen it work two ways. One, you go all in, try to make as much money and make as much influence as you can. Don't get your feelings involved. Don't get hurt about shit getting cut out. Right. Don't get your fucking, basically that's what he was saying. Don't get your feelings involved. Or go 100% the other way and do it purely for the artistic thing. Don't worry about whatever happens. Whatever happens.
Obviously the chances of you striking gold.
He said he's only seen it two ways. You either go all in one way or all in the other way. And I think I chose the other way. That's just me. But then, like you said, you got to make money, and I've built all these skills over the years, so I got to use it. Right. So then I found and I just so happened, and there might be some like universe, God, or somebody who's really looking out for me because everything that I've wanted, and it's kind of.
But you work your ass off. That's probably why, bro.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
You work your ass off. You got dark circles around your eyes for as long as I've known you.
Yeah.
Because you work your ass off. So
I think there's a part of me that's kind of broken in that way. I think
what you do is you manifest things that you want, and then you work your ass off.
Maybe
like you say, I want this, and then you work your ass off, bro.
Maybe,
and then you get to it.
Maybe, that's but really I've had a lot of luck. I don't know. I haven't figured that shit out.
I think the luck aspect of it is like the idea that if the more work you do, the closer the idea that like I'm gonna sit and work on music every single day for the next 5 years, the likelihood of one thing leading to something greater is very high. Now, if I make one song or 4 songs once a year, the likelihood of that sort of culminating into the next big thing for you is very low.
Maybe. I haven't figured that out. But all I know is that at least since 2020, everything that I do now has been love it. Love it. So like 24 hours a day. But it's a problem because now I don't get any time. But
if it doesn't feel like work for you, then you pick your spots. Like, all right, today on Friday, I'm not gonna work with this band. I'm gonna sleep.
Sit with my dude.
I'm sitting with me. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. I got one on.
Yeah. I want to hear this.
So, I don't know if this is like the happiest I've been, but it was like when I knew oh, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I remember, so when I used to work in my old job, I used to listen to this record from Joey Badass called Waves. And it's essentially him. He was like 18, 19 years old when he made this record, I think. But I used to speak to 31-year-old me, where he was just talking about manifest. He was like, it's like what you said, it's like anything I think of happens. And it's a beautiful song. If you get a chance, I'll send it to you if you hear it. It's a beautiful fucking record. But it's funny you talk about me being lucky. So I got promoted to engineer in January. I was working with Joey Badass in April. I think it was April. It was nuts, bro.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. So I'm sitting here working with Joey, and I wasn't really that great of an engineer yet. Like, this is like part of the throwing you in the fire parts of the work. So I'm sorry, if you're watching this, Joey Badass, I'm sorry if I wasn't that good. But give me another chance. I'm more better. So it was him. And there was like Flatbush Zombies. They were recording their album at the time, so I think that's why Joey Badass was around. And there was this one session, bro, that I was working on, and it was a bunch of cats in the room, and it was kind of it wasn't rowdy. Like, they're not like rowdy dudes, but they was like, there was a lot of people. They was drinking, smoking. They was having a good time, carrying on. And then like there was this one beat that came on while they were just dicking around, and the whole room got silent. This one beat just. Now it's on the speakers, and everybody in the room was just like, okay. They took out their phones, they started writing, or their pens, they started writing. The first 3 rappers that finished they raps went into the booth. Nobody even said nothing, bro. It was literally like no words were said. It was. We went from having fun, we was dicking around, having fun, smoking and shit. Then one beat comes on to the and we had been playing music all night. They was cooking up, and maybe things were him, but this one beat that dude played, it was quiet. They started writing to the shit. 3 of them got up. It was like Nick Caution, Eric, the architect, and then Joey Badass. They went in. They cut their vocal for that, and then came out listening. And I remember hearing what was on the speakers, bro, and I couldn't believe what I was listening to. And it was to the point where I called. And this is my favorite part of the memory. I don't know if you remember Dwayne, but Dwayne was my man. It's like I miss you, Dwayne. Like, we gotta reconnect. But Dwayne, he was an intern at the time, and I called him. It was messy on the producers desk, so I called him upstairs to see if he could take some garbage out. Yeah. And he got into the room, and the music was playing so loud. He was cleaning shit up, and he looked at me. He was like, "Yo," Greg, do you hear what's on the speakers? And I'm looking at him like, bro, I cannot believe it was the most incredible record I had heard to that point. Yeah. I was like, this is what transformative, beautiful, crazy music sound like. I'm like, we couldn't even believe what we was hearing. Yeah. And what's crazy about it is that record never even came out. Yeah. That was a throwaway joint to them. They was like, this is alright. But I was shocked, bro, and I will never forget that day. Yeah. Just like to be around top tier artists at the top of their game at the time. Working on a record, and it was like that's the shit you dream of when you coming up, when you watching Quincy Jones at the desk and doing shit. Yeah. And you're like, I wonder what was, because you only see pictures and they don't really play the music in the documentaries. Yeah. And you don't feel the energy that they have in the studio.
You can't feel that.
That was the first time I'm like, whoa.
It's like surreal.
So that's me and my wife's thing now. We always go like, I wonder what was like in the room when they finished that record. Yeah. When they finished Kanye West Monster. What was it like when they heard that coming out of the speakers? Yeah. Like, what was it like when they heard All About the Benjamins coming out the speakers? You know what I'm saying?
Those are the moments, dude.
What was it like when March Madness, they heard that for the first time come out the speakers?
Yeah. Like did they know?
In my mind, you have had to.
Yeah, right?
Some of the if that, what I heard, that didn't even come out.
Yeah, yeah.
They didn't even put that record out. So imagine a song that became the, like, what was it? We talked about the Flip De Niro leave. Yeah. Imagine hearing that in the studio for the first time.
Oh, it's gonna.
You would have been like, yo, what the fuck? Leave me alone. Yo, you would have lost your mind if you was like, if Dwayne came in and he was like, yo, Greg, what are we listening to? This is the dopest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. So I chased those. The problem is, like, it feels like, especially as a staff engineer, and maybe this is the problem, it's like you're chasing so this is like the 180 that we're talking about. Is I get the sense in order for me to make those moments happen more often, I have to do the unsacred shit.
I was just thinking that.
Right? Because it took me... I became an engineer in January.
Yeah.
And I don't think it was till April that I got into that room.
Yeah.
And I had no problem. I wasn't even mad at the dumb music I was recording at the time, but it was...
Maybe you're right.
It was that one day I was like, oh, this is why I'm here. Like, oh, I forgot. This is exactly why I'm here. I'm never leaving the studio.
Yeah, maybe you don't get that until you do 100 other ones. Maybe.
So you got to do 100 other ones where it's just...
I don't know.
Like,
I guess there's two ways to do it, right? You can either do 100 and hope that one of them is the one.
That juice kind of carries you through
the next one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like, I don't know. I think that my thing was more like... I think I was just gonna get more selective about what I was gonna, and I think you get to a point where you can feel if something's gonna have the potential of being.
So do you long for like there's obviously we have the legends that we grew up like aspiring to, like we were inspired by. Mine was Ryan Leslie. I used to, when I started making beats, in order for me to like get motivation to like keep cooking up, I would literally watch those videos.
Yeah.
So then the first day when they called me to do a Ryan Leslie session, that's another one of those like, I cannot believe this is happening.
Dude, those are great sessions. I've never done them.
They're so fun, bro. Yeah. It's just like, it's
just like the video.
Yo, me and Pat, you don't know. There was this other intern, Patrick, and he was assisting me this day. Because when you were Ryan Leslie, you gotta at least have an assistant. That's because you working. You're doing more work that day than you would be if you was recording the Beatles and the Philharmonic, because he is jumping from keyboard to keyboard. Yeah. He's pulling samples from other sessions into the shit. He's a genius. But I remember there was this one day we was working with Ryan Leslie, and my assistant at the time, it's Ryan Leslie. He's sitting at the console. He's in the middle. He's bopping. He's doing the little Ryan Leslie bop when he's listening to the record. And me and my assistant, we doing the same bop. And I'm looking at my sister. I just looked at him. I'm like, yo, fam, are we in the Ryan Leslie video? The ones that we used to watch, we in them shits? Right. And he was like, yeah, man. Yeah. So those, but it took, again, I see Ryan Leslie maybe once a year.
Yeah.
If that. So, like, I have to go through a whole year's worth of work to get to those sessions.
Maybe that's the beauty of this kind of a field that we chose, is that everybody's got their own way of setting up their life.
Right, yeah.
To where
that's sort of the...
You know what I mean? It's like, you don't always get the luxury of, like, comfort and stability, but you set it up the way you want. Or maybe that's not the right way of saying it, but you don't get the way maybe you thought it was going to be, but you do get to create your own kind of setup. Right. To where, like, if you want to do the 9 to 5 during the day and still do the night sessions, you can.
But the thing here's the one thing I gotta push back on with you.
Yeah.
That frustrates me about your way of looking at it. Is you're a really good engineer. Like, I came up under you. I watched how you work, especially getting a drum sound. I don't know anybody who can do it like you.
I appreciate it.
Except for Chris Griffin, because he taught us.
Oh,
but he's a master. You don't get concerned that like fucking Kurt Cobain's gonna raise from the dead and then need an engineer, and like you're gonna miss out on the opportunity because you're still sort of just like,
oh, I see what you mean.
You know what I'm saying?
Because I'm not in the circles.
Because you're not in the circles anymore. Like somebody has somebody has to hit you. Like, I know Jeet. He's one of the great. I don't know a better person who can get a drum sound than Jeet.
And I think it kind of still stands. What I say is that getting the nod is not my top thing anyway.
Right.
So as much as I like Kurt Cobain, like for me it would be like if Metallica called up the studio.
I was gonna say I didn't know if you were Metallica or
like if Metallica called up Scott and was like, hey, we need an engineer, I don't think he would call me because I'm not in the circle anymore, right?
But that's my concern, is like, would
I be okay with that?
Yeah. Like, would you be okay?
Actually, the closest thing happened. Bob Rock, who used to produce Metallica for like 10 years, came, and Vinny had this. I was nowhere in sight.
That's fucked up.
No, but like
you taught Vinny.
But no, first of all, Vinny
knew his shit. Yeah, but I'm just saying,
he taught himself.
You hired Vinny.
Yeah, no, like for me, but it goes back to the same thing. It's like, what's at the top? Is it getting a nod from Metallica, or is it creating something that I have actually done? And
Metallica could be dickheads. Like, that could be the
maybe. But it's not even. But that's the thing, right? It's like, I think if I had to choose between getting a nod from Metallica and then creating something as meaningful to me as Metallica was to me,
right.
I would still choose the latter, even if nobody had heard about it.
Right. So you think of it more for you're just a creative I
think that's what it is. And look, I trust me, I get down on myself a bunch of times where it's like, should I be caring more about getting the nod? Because like I know my shit. Right. I could just work harder, push through it.
Right.
And I get so even like with these videos, sometimes I'm like, maybe I should push them more. Like what is it? Boosting Instagram posts.
Or whatever. I don't know. Buy some ads.
Ads and stuff. Like maybe I should do that. Maybe maybe I should like get that credibility and stuff and like feel. I don't know. I'm still debating it, but like from what I've experienced in my life, it's like, again, when I create that thing that just
and it just works. Right.
No matter if 10 people listen or 10 million people listen, it's always what I choose.
Right,
the actual process of creating that thing. Right. Whether that's a good thing or not, I don't know. You got a great point, dude, because I probably missed out on a lot of opportunities just because I wasn't in the circle.
But it depends on if it's something like for me. I have like this bucket list of like, and it's because I looked at the magazines where I'm looking at SOS magazine when I'm a kid, and I'm like, oh man, what it would be like to sit next to Ryan Leslie. What would that? I would love to know what that feels like. So when that stuff starts to manifest into your life, you're like, oh, you chase that. It's not as much about the nod. It's more about like, there was things that I dreamt of when I'm like 17, where I'm like, oh, this is what I'm gonna do. This is where I see my life. This place is the dream maker for me. The idea that like I used to look at video. I used to literally, there's this magazine I used to have. There was this ad to Omega Recording School, and there's like this beautiful Neve console, like Neve 7 VR88 console in the front, and then there's a fucking like a 24 track tape machines in the background, and they're glowing, and the way the photographer did it and the fucking color correction, it looked phenomenal. And I literally used to look at this magazine trying to figure out the signal flow. Like, I wonder how this studio works. You know what I mean? And then the idea that like, 10 years later, I know how the studio works because I work in one. Right. That's that gives me a lot of fuel. That like there's a 17-year-old me that wanted to do this. That said,
I can relate to that.
You know what I'm saying? But it depends on what exactly you. So maybe mine is a little superficial where it comes to like. To me, making music is as easy as me sitting at the keyboard in the morning and practicing. I don't have to like hit record. That doesn't mean as much to me to have something tangible.
So then, what is the ultimate goal? Like, if you had to like set your ideal, like that's where I want to.
Legitimately, is just to know that I can, on a consistent basis, make music and then go home to my wife and kids. That's really it. If I can find a way to, like, I know for the next 5 years that comfortably I can go to the studio, make music, and go home to my wife and kids. Right? It seems like right now we're still in the mode where it's like it's either I'm home with my wife and kids or I'm at the studio. Right. There's no sort of like balance because I don't have I don't have a big enough client base where it substantiates sort of like I have to be kind of pounding the pavement constantly, or I either have to be pounding the pavement constantly or I have to be here working with clients that maybe I don't really always want to work with. Or it's like you take a couple of you take a couple of weeks off so that my wife is not losing her mind. She could go get her nails done every once in a while and go see her friends, you know what I'm saying?
But you would prefer the first one where you had a client base to
because now I can have that happy balance where it's almost kind of it's really more like it's like two different ways of getting to where you are though,
yes
where it's can I find a world or a lifestyle that maybe I'll take a flight to Arizona, check on a few properties to make sure that, the plumbing is working, fly back to New York, run a session, and then take my wife to upstate so she can see her family.
More control. Oh, you know what it is? Somebody was telling me, the engineer was telling me this the other day. It's money, time, freedom.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you're right. It doesn't necessarily have. So the way I look at like the nods and the way I look at the the way I look at the sort of the nod, the nods and the Grammys, that's really just like.
The stepping stone.
Yeah, it's you kind of need those things
to get to the next.
To get to that, like if we talk about the 1%,
I see.
I can't really get to the 1% unless I get that first plaque or if I get that first Grammy nod, right?
Interesting. And you want to be working with the 1%?
Yeah, I think so.
If you because you said that the goal was to be able to work on music and go home, but you want to work on meaningful music, right? But what if that meaningful music was like just indie bands?
See, I think about that too sometimes.
You know,
I think about that all the time.
Not the 1%.
Would you be happy with that? I would be happy with that too. Yeah.
Okay. So then why is the nod the stepping stone? It's just a nice little.
I feel like it's the most obvious pathway.
I see.
It's like the one that's been laid out for most of us.
Yeah, I understand.
That you just know.
And it does work.
And it works. You get the plaque, suddenly your rate goes up, suddenly people are calling you.
That's true.
You know.
That is true.
So I think it's I don't know if that. You're right. I would also be just as happy if I have this image of like me being the R&B guy in the city.
Fuck
where
yeah,
you come to the city and like, you gotta get
Greg.
Some R&B.
Yeah.
Come to Greg. Come to Phace.
Yeah,
like you gotta see him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You gotta sit next to Phace. He's gonna get your fucking vocals right. I envision that.
That's a great.
And goal. That doesn't have to be major people. That could be somebody who they just saw me on IG.
That's a great goal.
Right?
That's a really
if I fly to New York, I gotta go see Phace.
Yes. And how do you do that? You build credibility, hence the nod thing.
Hence the nod. So you're right. The nods aren't necessarily the end. They're not the top of the list.
Were you ever an artist?
Nah, not really. No.
I mean, just like
I could sing. I grew up like singing.
Yeah.
Like really
was artistry ever a dream?
Nah, not really. I never really cared. I feel like I have a big personality already, and I kind of attract a lot of attention. I don't really long for it on stage. It doesn't. The stage doesn't mean much to me.
Interesting. That you think that might be a part of it? Because I have that artist, that creative I
don't have that
thing. Maybe that's what's like where the 180 comes in. It's like the nod to get to that next level means that you'd be working with a higher tier of clients, and maybe that's just not what I want. Maybe that's where it comes from.
Yeah, I'm more like service provider. You're more like creator.
Yeah, that might be it. Interesting.
Yeah, for me, I say this to people all the time, bro. Like, certain people, they try to make you feel bad about, like, you know, how come you don't want to work with me, right? Don't you want to make records? Don't you want to make music? Yeah. And I'm like, fam, I make music every day.
Yeah.
Every day. Sometimes I don't want to listen to music. I make music.
It's all good.
I make music so much. Yeah. When I go home, I gotta put a podcast on.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's too much. I say this all the time. Every once in a while, Nate knows this. Every once in a while, you'll be here till 3 a.m. in the morning, and an intern, you'll be cleaning up. You're tired, and an intern will come up here and be like, "Listen, I wanted to play you a mix," and you gotta tell the intern like, "Yo, fam, no more music today, bro."
Yeah.
I've been listening to music straight for 20 hours, bro.
That's a real thing.
No more music. I want to go watch a hockey game or some shit. I don't even like hockey, but I need something.
Dude, I think I'm kind of at that point where it's like, and I
because you got students you teach,
so I listen to a
lot of music, bro. I get that. I'm right there with you on that, bro. And you get every day someone's like, "Yo, can you listen to
this mix?
Can you listen to this mix?" And it gets to a point where I'm just like, "Bro, they sound good. Your mix sounds good."
You just
what do you want me to tell you? The mix sounds fine. Like, what do you bro? How many mixes you listen to and you don't even understand what they're asking? It's like, this mix sounds fine. I don't know how you got here, but it sounds great.
There's a couple that are like, they're good. They're on their way. They just need the opportunity.
Bro, I'm finding, bro, and maybe this is, we talk about like where the industry is going. I'm finding it so unbelievably annoyed that I have students that their mixes sound. I'm like, yo, how did you get this already, bro?
Like so early in the game?
Is that Splice? Is that a Splice sample? How the fuck your kid already knocking through my... You know how long it took me to get my kicks to sound like that? And you just a student in my...
Dude. Oh my God.
Maybe that's where the industry is. Maybe the technology is really...
That's so funny you say that. Today's Friday? Yeah, yesterday. a student called me in to listen to one of his songs, and the kick drum might have been the best I've ever heard in my life. I'm like, how did you?
Fam. And then, but then the answers be, yo, you be mad like that's just a YouTube beat. I be like, yo, what the fuck?
Fortunately, this wasn't.
Bro, but that happened to me recently. I forgot what student it was, but he played me a mix, and I'm sitting in front of the speakers like, how the fuck you got this? And I was like, how did you fix the kick? How'd you get the image? Why? He's like, oh, that's a YouTube beat. I'm like, oh my god!
You think this is how like Mark and Chris Griffin feel when we're trying to?
My G, I got so many mixes, bro, where I'm like, I'm scared I'm gonna fuck this up. This is there's no way I'm gonna make this worse. I'm gonna run this shit through one plugin, and the algorithm is gonna do something to fuck this kick. Like, what are you talking about? This shit sound good.
Technology's is getting better and better.
It's getting better, bro. So that's a whole nother part of the conversation. Like, it's what you're saying. You gotta pick and choose your spots now. Because I definitely have clients that don't know what they're doing.
Right.
And that's fine. Like, I love working on their music. I love teaching. I love kind of shepherding, and you hear them, they get better every year. Every mix they send you, every song they send you, they get better and better. So I don't shun those guys where it's like, you came to me, this record you were not a good artist, and now 3 years later you are competent. Like, I would go to see your show. Like,
I like that.
I like that a lot. And I used to be like, I can't. People used to ask me like, why would you work on this record? And I'm like, you know what, like, back then I needed the money, but now I'm happy it's dope watching. I'm like, I saw somebody at the genesis of making music. Yeah. We were both still learning, obviously, at the time, and now I hear this music getting better every time I get a mix from them. Damn. So that's fire.
But that is a good goal to have, right? Working on more meaningful music, but also having time for stuff outside of that. Bro. That's the sweet spot.
Bro, during the pandemic, bro, I was working on mixes. I was working on albums. I played a couple of gigs. Yeah. Like outside. Wow. Well, I probably shouldn't have.
Yeah, yeah. I've done it too. I came to the engine room.
Came to the engine room.
Came to the height to do a workshop.
Didn't even have my mask on. Oh my god.
Yeah, I took videos too. Rohan was like, "Why aren't you wearing your mask?" I'm like, "Oh, well, shit."
Man, but yeah, bro. So yeah,
that's a good
there is like this kind of.
In a way, I kind of want to reach that too. Because like I don't have time. That's my thing.
So I have that. The thing of my life as curator, where I can pick and choose shit. So it's like, granted, this year has been sort of like I gotta take as much work as I can get. But like maybe last year was a great year where I was working on meaningful projects. I was performing at places that I wanted to perform at. I was on stage playing keys for people. Nice. And that's stuff I don't usually do, but I'm like, yo, people are paying me to play music today.
I like that.
All right, I'm going to a rehearsal studio. I'm gonna play. That's part of like getting back to the love of the music. Yeah. Where I lost it when the studio was open full time, and you had to be here working on some label shit, but it might have been somebody at the bottom of the label that they're still trying to figure them out. Right. Because they had one hit SoundCloud or TikTok shit. And
maybe everybody has to go through that.
I think so.
Just to know if you
really want to do it.
If you really want.
This shit will test you, bro. Do you really want to do it? Nate, do you really want to do this? Yes. Nate's been listening to make sure that he's an engineer.
Yeah, we fucked him up a couple times.
Yeah, and then we kicking shit. And
he's being so nice about it.
He's like, he tried to, bro. He put up the sign. He was like,
cool, man.
Bro, stop kicking the mics.
Yeah, next generation coming up. What's the advice for the next generation? Just take a YouTube beat. Just take a YouTube beat.
Yo. What is the advice for the next generation? You know what's fucked up? What do I say to you, Nate? I feel like I'll give mad rhetoric.
Say a lot. I mean,
what's one thing?
You say a lot.
I do talk a lot, man. What's one thing I've said to you that's resonated?
Be consistent.
There you go.
That's it.
Be consistent. I like that.
Be consistent. That's the best one.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do it, and do it every day.
That's the only way you get better.
That's the only way you get better. And it's also you'll figure out if you actually want to do it.
That's true.
Because if you don't do it every day, you probably don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Or if you don't want to do it every day, you probably don't want to do it.
That's true. That's a good one.
At least to start off.
No, that's a good one.
Be consistent is probably the best one.
Nice. Well, dude, thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. Man, we could have talked forever.
I appreciate it, bro. I wouldn't have been here without you, man.
Oh, come on.
You hired me, bro. I wouldn't have been here.
Cut.